Hello everyone, welcome back to my next Graphic 45 brand ambassador project, and it is my take on a tunnel album. So I've got a full walkthrough of this, so if you want to see it in more details, have a look on the Graphic 45 and my YouTube channel. Hopefully I'll have a link in the description below as well. But it's my take on a tunnel album, but with spaces for our photos. So it holds a lot of 5x7 photos. So each of the photo mats here holds a 5x7 or two 5x7s if you do the back as well. And there's pockets in the front and back, so we can add more 5x7s or 6x4s. So if you've shied away from tunnel albums in the past because you just don't know where to put your photos, then this could be the solution for you. So as you can see, I've used my Curissa and Curissa papers, and I've used the ephemera pieces to create this, but you could use your fussy cutting if you're using a different collection. But I've also used the rub-ons on the photo mats as well to add some even more details as we go through. So I'm really pleased with this project. You can see there's pockets at the back then. And as I said, I've done a proper walkthrough of it so you can see the more detail. But if you're here, you're wanting to get going. So grab your 8x8 pad, grab your cardstock and your grey board, and let's get going. So let's get started. So this is the cutting guide for this project. So if when I'm going through, you could be writing down your own measurements, or if you find it easy to have a printout, you can actually download a copy of this free in my Facebook group called Paper Crafting with Paul. And if you go to the file section, and I'll probably call it the Curissa Tunnel Album or something like that. Yours will look better. This is just my rough one because of course I haven't made my project yet. So I've started off with my grey board covers, which are 8 1/4 by 8 1/4. So we're really making the most of our 8x8 papers there. So we need two of them, one for the front, one for the back, and a spine. So one spine at 8 1/4 by 1 7/8. So if you're in the UK, A4 is 8 1/4 if you've got your page landscape. So it's 8 1/4 that way. So it's just a case of 8 1/4 and cut your spine there, and then a second sheet. So then it's up to you then how you cover your grey book. So I know everybody has their own preferred method. I like the taping up method. So you're just going to tape it up. If you want to see how I did mine, I've done this hundreds of times on my channel. So have a look there and you'll find plenty of tutorials on how to do the tape method. So if you've got your cardstock method as your preferred, go for it. Whatever you prefer. You could even cover it in your G45 patterns and solids and have a coloured one. So I've done the cover, got the spine in place, and what I've gone and done already is attached the cover sheet to the front of my cover. So it's so tricky, this one. I cut my 8x8 paper and stuck it on. That's all I did. I could go back because I do have a second sheet of it, so I could go back and fussy cut and add some 3D dimension to it, but I wouldn't do that until I finished the album. Of course, it would probably need some glossy accents too, just to add some shine. So as I said, just have a look on my channel how to do that, but just to save some time in this video, I've already prepared my cover. So we're going to go back to the cutting sheet, and now we're going to start to cut our base colour cardstock. So I've gone for black, which I often do, and I'm going to start cutting here. So I've got the name of the piece, how many I need, the size I need to cut it, and some scoring instructions. Now, OT, I'll come to when I'm scoring. That just means on top of my scoreboard. And R means rotate, so I'll just be turning it 180 degrees. So that's what OT is, on top, which means on top of the scoreboard. And R equals rotate. So let's grab some card to make the pages. So I'm going to need 8 of these in total. Now, when I make my pages, I tend to make them and cut them in 2s because I need 2 of them to make one page, my pocket page. So I've actually got 2 sheets here. Make sure they're in line. And they're 8 1/4 by 7 3/4. Now, A4 cardstock here in the UK is 8 1/4. So that's all I need to do is cut 7 3/4. So it's 8 7 3/4. So I'm cutting through 2 of them at a time. So I know both of these, when I put them together to make my page, will be the same size. Now this offcut, I'm going to keep. And I'm going to cut at 7 3/4 tall. So this is going to make my spine. So I've got spine 1 and spine 2. So 7 3/4. Now a little tip for you, if you just go wherever, say that 5-inch, if you just go to the right of it to make it slightly smaller, your page will slip over a bit easier because the page will be a little bit longer than the spine, so it'll just slide over rather than having 2 equal measures bumping into each other. So as I said, this is going to make my spine. Just grab my bin. There we are. So I need 1 7/8. So I've got my 1 7/8 on this side. And I need one at 2 5/8. 2 4/8 is a half, so 5/8 is just the next one across. So this is spine 1. So I'm just going to write on it spine 1 and spine 2. Oh, I've moved on to the spine because I've used the offcuts. But what we're going to do then is we're going to need to cut out another 6 pages. I've already done that just to save some time in the video. So I've already got 3 of my pages already made up. So I'm going to skip those. So I've cut and I've cut and I've cut. And then on the inside of the covers, I'm going to be putting some pockets, just to have some extra spaces for tucking more photos in. So again, I'm going to have the front and back identical, so I'm going to be cutting both at the same time. You could do whatever you want on the front inside covers. You could just stick 2 8x8 pages, but I just thought it's nice to have more photo spaces. So the large pocket is 9 1/4 by 6. And the small pocket is 9 1/4 by 2 1/4. So I'm going to cut this at 9 1/4 first of all. So I'm cutting through both at the same time. Now I measured these and made my pockets so that I can get both pockets out of one sheet. So if you're in America and you've got 8 1/2, you could make this pocket just a 1/4 of an inch deeper to have a little bigger pocket if you wanted, because your cardstock is 8 1/2, if I'm right. Right, so now I'm going to cut it at 6. So that means now I've got my large pocket, and then this is 2 1/4. Let's just measure 2 1/4. So we've got our large pocket and our small pocket. So LP, SP, large pocket, small pocket, large pocket, and small pocket. And then, should you wish to do your photo mats the same as mine, you will need to cut 4 photo mats at 7 by 7 1/2. So I've already done those. and I've already prepped my photo mats for later. So I've cut 4 of these, just a simple 7 by 7.5. There's no scoring to these, so I've put these aside, or I tend to just do them at the end. So we have now cut all our pieces. I'll put my trimmer away for now, and I'm going to grab my scoreboard. Okay, there we go. So we're going to start off with our pages. So it says 8 1/4 OT. If you remember what I said at the start, that means it's 8 1/4 side goes on the top of your scoreboard. I'm going to score at 7 3/4. Just score it down. I'm going to repeat that on all 8 of them. So that's why I prepared 3 of the pages already. It's identical, and you don't really want to be watching me just doing exactly the same 4 times today. Then we're going to move on to spine 1 and spine 2. So I've got spine 1 here. So spine 1, the 1 7/8 on top, score it at 1/2 inch. Here's 1/2 inch. And 3/4. So it says 1/2 inch and 3/4. Rotate it. So I'm going to rotate. Half. Ooh, jumped out my channel. 1/2 and 3/4. So again, this is the only hinge system I tend to use, which is our flexi hinge. So we've got our center, our 2 flexible parts, and then these wide 1/2 inch tabs to attach our pages to. And spine 2 is exactly the same. So you put your 2, oh, this one's a bit long, it's 2 1/4. This isn't this spine. That's the small pocket, that's why. Here we are, spine 2. I had a panic then. Again, it's 1/2 and 3/4. Rotate. 1/2 and 3/4. And then just a little tip. If you go from that 3/4, go to 1, 2, 3, and just do a little line, and go 1, 2, 3 again, just 3 of those channels, and do a little mark. These are little guides then. 1, 2, 3. So when you come to line your spine on top, you can get it in the center. There we are. So see, it's just a little score line, just a little mark. We're going to see them, yeah. And then what will happen is that central one will lie inside there. And the large pockets now. So with the 9 1/4 on top, we're going to score it 1/2. We're going to rotate it and 1/2 again. And with the 6 inch on top, we're going to score it 1/2 inch. So it's down both the short sides and down the long side. Just get that. Another large pocket. So down the short, down the long, and the short. And it's going to be the same then for the small pockets. So with the 9 1/4 on top at 1/2, rotate, and then with the 2 1/4 on the top at 1/2. So again, if it's easier, 1 short, 1 long, and 1 short. There we go. And of course, the photo mats don't need anything. So we now have all our pieces prepared. I'm going to start off by doing my pages. So I can put my cutting guide away for now. I will need it later on. So I've got some nice strong sticky tape. I've just put those 1/2 inch lines at the top. I just find it easier to do it across rather than down. So these are going to end up as square pockets. So we can just tape up those 1/2 inch score lines. Now, when you come to do your pocket pages, especially with this tunnel album, you want these as flat as you possibly can. So take your time on this piece of the process. We're going to fold it over because you want to get this fold here as flat as you can. If you're going to leave it like that, it's going to push your cardstock out and you're going to get this big mouth opening like that, which you don't want, especially in this tunnel album. So we're going to take our scoring tool and we're going to really burnish these well. I'm really battling it and I'm pressing it and ironing it and really burnishing and burnishing it. I'm going to get it really, really flat. So I'll leave that for a second. And whilst I'm doing this one, that one will probably relax and start popping up. So what I'll do, I'll go back onto it afterwards and train it back down again. So lots and lots of nice pressure. Get those burnishes nice and flat. So if it's popping up on your table, you've got more work to do. So this is why I've done those 3 already, because it can take a little bit of time, but it's well worth it. And if you start cutting corners here, your finished item isn't going to be as nice. So let's turn them over. So we've got a double-sided tape. I'm going to turn this one that way, and I'm just going to take some of the backing off and fold it up like so. And then do the same on this one. So I'm just exposing a little bit each side. And now, I'm going to flip it over. So this middle bit is now non-sticky. So it means I can move it around. These sort of act as little stabilizers to give me time to line up my corners nicely. So it's a bit of adhesion happening in these corners. I'm going to check my other corners if these are straight as well. So I'm going to expose a little bit here. And there we go. So I can pull on this and remove that and get it flat. And I'm just going to sort of iron it out with my hand. So keeping the whole thing flat whilst I pull out the other one. And hopefully that'll give me a nice flat pocket, which it is. It's going to open a little bit there when I lift it up. When it's flat, it's nice and flat. So again, do that 4 times. I'll set them aside. Now we're going to work on our spines. If I can find spine 2, here we are. So spine 1 and spine 2. We're going to place some double-sided tape down the center of those channels. Don't go over that score line. There we go. You don't want tape to come across those score lines there. So keep your tape down the middle. And there. So that is what our page is going to attach to, are those 1/2 inch score lines there. So we're going to flip it over. This is the back then, which is going to attach to the cover. So I'm going to take some tape down the center of spine 1. And on spine 2, we've got that large middle piece. So we're going to do a few strips. We're going to get nice and covered because we want our spine to stay in place. There we go. Okay, so on the front, we've done them in those 1/2 inches, and on the back, just down those center panels. Let's get it burnished nicely. And before we start scoring things, I'm going to take my scissors. I'm going to cut just the angle off up to our 1/2 inch score line in each corner. That's just going to help me later on when I come to put my pages onto my spine. There we go. And then on spine 2, exactly the same. And the last 2. Okay. And now we're just going to burnish. So I'm folding the 2 center ones up. I'm giving them a burnish. And then the 2 outer ones, those 1/2 inch ones, I'm going to fold back. Doesn't matter which way around you do this, and forward. So I'm training it to go in both directions. That's what's going to give you your flexible hinge. So the middle one's up and the other 2 in both directions. Okay, here's 1 and here's number 2. So the 2 middle ones are up. So now it's a case of folding back. And train it to go both ways. So now I can take off this middle bit, and because this is my spine and I want it to be extra strong and stay in place, because it's got to hold all those pages and people opening and closing the pages, it has a bit of welly, so I'm going to add some glue to it as well. So the tape is going to hold it in place for now. That glue is just going to add some extra strength to it. And when I come here now, those extra little 2 score lines I did, so if I pinch these together, it gives me my little flat base. I can line it up between those score lines. And here. So now I know it's central. Okay. And then it's a case of taking off the back. And we're going to attach this straight into our album. So I tend to try and do this before doing all the pages and things, because it gives it the time to set into my album and dry and be nice and strong. Rather than putting in too soon, you do risk the spine then having the weight and moving. So leave this in your spine or in your cover for quite a while before you start attaching pages and such. So we've got a curious and curiouser. I'm just going by eye. Of course you could measure, but I just go for it. There we go. I'm just going to press it down. I should have rubbed that off. I haven't brought the rubber with me. Oh, there's a rubber on the pencil. There we go. Just go into spine 1. Okay, so there's the spine done. So we've got our pages, we've got our spine. Now we've got these optional pockets or whatever you want to do on the inside cover. So if you followed me before, you'll have seen me doing pockets plenty of times before. Just a case of placing tape inside those 3 score lines we created, and then just getting rid of the corner so we don't have any excess when we come to fold them over. So I cut to the cross, angle my scissors, so it's a little bit more of a sharp angle than the 90 degrees. So when I fold them over, they're not overlapping there and creating 3 layers of cardstock as opposed to 2. So towards the cross, angle it, and put it aside. It says pocket 1. So Yep, the score line's there. And the long one. And I'm going to take the two short ones while I'm here. And the long one. And two short ones again. And the long one. And again, just going to do that miter for each one. Cut to the cross, angle, cut to the cross, angle, cut to the cross and angle, and the large one need to do as well. Here, cut to the cross and angle, cut to the cross, angle. And again, just like the pocket pages, you want to get these to lie as flat as you can get. So bear with me, there'll be a bit more burnishing here. And then just press them all down. There's a large pocket and a small pocket to go on top. And a second small. And my large. I'll probably do a bit more burnishing just before I add them into the album, because I have sort of skipped the true harsh burnishing here just to get to the assembly. Okay, so in fact, we're going to start with the pockets. So front and back are going to be exactly the same. I'm just going to take off the bottom and add some glue, because it's going onto the tape and onto my cover. I'm just going to add some glue just for strength. And I'm going to line up this bottom left corner with the bottom left corner of my album cover, because what you don't want is for it to go into that hinge space there. So by moving it to the left is better than moving it centrally and overlapping to the right if your measurement's been a bit off. So then what you can do is take some of your black tape and stick it over here. So I've got my black construction tape, but any tape will work here, because what you're going to do is just place it down over that join and it'll act like a little ramp. So when you come to put your photo mats and things in, it's not going to hit that hinge bit there, it's going to slide over that tape. And then, oh no, before we do that, I'm going to place it up to put it where it would come and draw a line. So that's where my pocket's going to be. But of course, when you're stuffing in, you're going to see that grey board in that pocket. So you can either take some scrap black card and put it there, or once I got this black tape, it's much quicker. I'm just going to put a piece of black tape there. That's just going to sort of camouflage the inside of my pocket. So when I take this off, again, it's going onto that tape and onto the chipboard, so I'm going to put some glue. Take off the tape and add some glue. I'm going to lift it up and keep my hand in the middle to try and keep my pocket nice and flat, and then just work my way over. So you can see that black bit now, that bit of tape has just sort of camouflaged the grey board. So I just need to make sure it's furnish a bit better. There we go. And I'll do the same on this side with that large pocket. So expose all. This time I'm going to line up to the bottom right. Put some tape over the hinge. Take off this tape. Just move my hinge out the way so you can see. Take some tape, some glue down those tabs. Oh, under my line yet, have I? Okay, I just need an idea of it. And there's a pencil line, let me just go up a little bit, there we go. And now, get it nice and flat. And then, so what I'm going to do is exactly the same with my small pockets. I'm going to take off the tape. Haven't bothered with glue this time because it's cardstock on cardstock. I've just lined it up at the bottom. Take away the 2 tabs. Get rid of that hinge by creating the ramp. I'll caught my tape there. I can iron it out. Place it down. Of course, you're not going to take a lot more time over yours than I am because you're not battling the camera time. Again, take it off, place it on the bottom, let's move this hinge out the way. Just make that ramp again. That's our cover already made. Going to set it aside just for that spine to have more time to dry before we decorate it. So now the fun part, we're going to start our tunnel album. So for that, I'm coming back with my tunnel cutting guide. And I'm going to bring my first pocket in. Now, it's a square, so today it's not going to matter which way you start, as long as you make sure when you're putting your papers on, you've got your opening to your left and to your right, that way, so you can slide onto your spine. Okay, so once you've assembled your pages and made them as flat as possible, you're going to take page 1. This is going to have a 1.5 inch border around the outside. So what I've got in my cutting guide is where to start and where to stop. So you need one of these trimmers here, or a pencil and a ruler. You could draw these lines in and then cut with your craft knife. But one of these trimmers makes this a lot easier. So a 1.5 inch border means every time I do my cut, I want it at 1.5. So I'm going to use the right hand side here. So 1.5. So I've lined up the right hand side with the 1.5 inch mark, and it says start at 1.5. So I'm going to start my cut at 1.5 and stop at 6.25. Let me see if I can bring this in first. So I'm going to take my trimmer with the arrow at 1.5, and I'm going to take it down all the way to 6.25. Now this is black on black, so you're probably not going to see it as much as well as I can. So 1.5 is here. So I'm going to engage the trimmer, and then down I come. I'm going to stop at 6.25. 1/4. So I can see it down here, 6 1/4. So I've cut that channel. I'm going to turn it around 1 1/2 again. I'm going to take my cutter to 1 1/2. I'm going to stop at 6 1/4. I'm turning it to 1 1/2 again. So 1 1/2 down to 6 1/4. And rotate again. I'm going to go from 1 1/2 to 6 1/4. So now what I've done is cut that square, and it's popping out. If it's caught in a corner, just grab your craft knife or your scissors and just sort of trim it up, or just give it a little tug and it comes out. And if it has caught, just give it a little trim. So that then is page 1, and we have a 1 1/2 inch border all the way around. So that's page 1. Page 2 is going to have a 2 inch border. So I've got a 2 inch here, so I can still use the right hand side. So I line it up at the 2 inch, line my cutter at the 2 inch mark, because I'm starting at 2, stopping at 5 3/4. There we go. Rotate it, 2 inches again, 5 3/4. So again, 2 inches, start at 2 inches, stop at 5 3/4. And again, 2 inches, start at 2 inches, and stop at 5 3/4. So I try to keep the measurements as easy as I can. And you can see there's a sort of a pattern emerging. Whatever the width of the border is where you start your cut. So we now have page 2. So we have page 1 and page 2 with quite nice even tunnel effect coming in. So now we're moving on to page 3. So this is a 2 1/2 inch border. So I'm going to start at 2 1/2 and stop at 5 1/4. Now I haven't got the 2 1/2 this side, so I'm going to come to here this time. 2 1/2. And my 2 1/2 is there. 2 1/2, 5 1/4. Rotate, 2 1/2, start at 2 1/2, and stop at 5 1/4. 2 1/2, 2 1/2, down to 5 1/4, and that's a 2 1/2, start at 2 1/2, half there, 2 1/2, down to 5 1/4. So you see the squares are getting smaller each time. So that's my page 3 done. So put that behind. You really see that tunnel coming now. And the last one is a 3 inch border. So again, we start at 3 inches this time, and we stop at 4 3/4. It's just a small little cut this time. So 3 inches, start at 3, stop at 4 3/4. 3, 3, 4 3/4, 3, 3, 4 3/4. It's got this little tiny little square this time. That's page 4 done. This is probably a really easy album to make because we have no more to do. There's no flaps or pockets or anything to add to them. It's just our 4 pages. So take your time with that. Try and get them as nice and even as you can. If you've got a bit of rough edges, just take your bone folder. If you have torn a bit, this black tape is good because you can then just go in and catch up. Ideally, what you want are these 4 pages with the squares getting less and less and less. So we can now put them aside, and we're going to move on now to decorating. So already got to that step. So I've already chosen from Curious and Curiouser my 4 pages and my inside covers. Inside covers can go off to the side for now. So page 1 is going to be this Joyous Possibilities one. And it says for every page to cut all decorative papers to 7.5 by 7.5. So I'm going to cut off this trimmer and cut it off at 7.5. So I'm going to have to think of what I can do with 1/2-inch strips, because there's going to be quite a few of them from this project. Okay, so that's my page 1 now, cut to 7.5. I can do that to all these, but I'm going to leave it because I've got the page numbers written on them, so I'll do that when I get to it. So exactly the same as we did with the pages, the pockets. We're going to have a 1.25-inch border this time. So I'm going to line it up to 1.25 on the right hand side here. So we'll start at 1.25, and I want to stop at 6.25. So I can see where 6.25 is. 6.25. And again, just rotate it. So 1.25. Start at 1.25 and stop at 6.25. So 1.25, 6.25, up we go, and the last one, 1.25, down to 6.25. So we've now got this border, and should my measurements be okay, it'll fit onto that page there. So what I'm going to do is take some of my black soot. I'm going to ink around the edge of this one. So I'm just getting rid of that white core. I think even more important in this paper pad, because you've got black paper with black cardstock, so that white core will be a little bit more obvious. So it's worth taking the time just doing this section. And I'm just going to do the inside of the aperture as well. And the last edge. Okay, if I just put this aside for now. So if I show you how it's all done, as long as you've got the cutting guide, you can then carry on. So you can carry on just listening to me, but doing it at the same time. So I'm just making sure the glue is up to the edges. And so in the middle, just for look. Make sure you've got your openings on the left and right, and that your paper is the correct orientation with this one, because it's got some wording. And we're going to place it down. So there are 3 sheets of each pattern in the Graphic 45 8x8 pads. So what I've decided to do is use number 1 on the back of number 8 as well. So I've taken 2 sheets of this one, and then page 2, I'm going to have this one. So after the black, I'm going to start introducing some of the red. So I've taken 2 of this page, 1 for page 2, but also repeated that with another sheet. So the backs I've already cut, so you don't have to watch me do 2 of every one. So I decided to go for each double page spread having the same papers across them. So on the back of this one now, I'm going to stick this. So same measurements as I did, because we're still on page 1, just on the back of it, like so. And so page 2 now will have the same pattern paper. So it just goes across like so. So I've got onto page 2. And let me do it 7.5 this side then. Here's 7.5, yeah, just double checking my measurements. 7.5 by 7.5. Okay, so this time we're going to have a 1 3/4 inch border. So let's go for 1 3/4. Start at 1 3/4, and we're going to end at 5 3/4. So it's 5, 1/4, 2/4, 3/4. So 1 3/4. That's 1, 1, 2, 3. There we go. Down to 5 and 1, 2, 3/4. 5 3/4. I'm using my finger there just as I think so I can see the numbers. That's why my thumb is underneath, and I'm 1 3/4. There we go. And the last one, yeah, got one more to go. 1 3/4, 1 3/4, down to 5 3/4. There we go. And again, just going to ink the aperture. And then after this then, you need to choose what paper you want to go in the next step, because that is what you're going to put on the back of page 2. So let's have a look. What did I go for? I think I just need a bit more ink. So let's bring page 2 in. There we go. Just check it fits. So if you do need to trim something off. What's good with this, because you've got 3 sheets of each one, if you do make a mistake, it's not the end of the world. You do have a spare one, and you can use this for some embellishments or something. Okay, so we've got page 1. Sorry, page 1 that way. That's the back. So now it opens up, we've got that double page spread. So then I thought I'd keep introducing some more red. So we've gone from black and gold to black, gold and red to that one. Because I thought it carried the pattern going. So page 3 is going to be this one. So on the back of page 2, I'm going to take another one of these. And here's one I prepared earlier. So the same size I did for page 2. So you're sort of working one page ahead when you're doing the backs. Or just cover the front of each one, then go back and do these afterwards, the backs. There we go. So now we're on to page 3. You see the decorating actually comes together quite quick with this one. So again, just like all the others, we're going to start with 7.5. And this time, it's going to be a 2 1/4 inch border, so I'm going to have to come to the left-hand side. And I'm going to start at 2 1/4, and I need to end at 5 1/4. So 2 1/4 and 5 1/4 are my numbers this time. Here's 5 1/4, here's 2 1/4. 2 1/4, 5 1/4, 2 1/4, and 5 1/4. There we go. So we've now got our page 3 decoration ready. Let's just ink. And just double check. I should have done that before inking, really. Yeah. So then after this one, this would have been a nice one to go with the first page, actually, keeping the gold going. But I just like the front of this one, so. So how are we doing? We've got, oh, that's the wrong way still with me. I keep doing that. So I thought what I'd do now is come in and just bring just some black and white towards the center. It draws you in. So page 4 is going to be that one. So the back of page 3, just as we did before, is going to be just the opposite. I mean, you know, it's up to you. You could just do a different page, paper on every page. There we go. And then the final one now, page 4. So again, 7.5 by 7.5. Seven and a half by 7.5. This time it's a 2 3/4 border. So 2 3/4 and stop at 4 3/4. So just 2 3/4, 4 3/4. So we're just doing a 2 inch. Two and 3/4. And 2 3/4. There we go, so just taking that small square out. Just get in there. Just a little bit more ink, I think. I thought I missed an edge and did one twice. Here we go. Okay, so let's have a look. So, yep, that way up. Grab page 4. So that's going to fit there. And stick it on. And as I said, page 1 had that gold text one with the butterflies there. So that partner I'm going to put on the back here. Because, you know, I could have just used the back of that actually. I've already added glue now, so I can't change my mind. Yeah, that would have been a nice one as well. Because I've gone for reds on the inside cover, the reds and creams, to keep it quite neutral. There we go. So those are now 4 pages decorated. And you can see that tunnel effect now coming into play. So I'm going to set those aside for now. And we are going to decorate our inside cover now. So both of these now are going to use our 8x8 sheets. So there we go. I'm going to cut them at the same time at 8 inches. Okay, so the bottom pocket is 1 3/4. So I want to cut my paper 1.5 off the bottom. So put them together, 1.5. So again, I'm cutting them both at the same time. So there we go. So that's 1.5. So they're going to go there. And then the middle ones are 3 3/4. I'll turn it around this way. So then they will go and tuck into there, and then the top will tuck in there. So you'll have that pattern continuation, which I like with this sheet. Now, of course, you could flip this and have the opposites. You could flip them like so. But I think with this one, because we've got this text running down, I'm going to stick with them as they are. So I'm just thinking the size and the top of the pocket ones, because these will line inside, so you're not going to see that bottom line. And then this is going to be on that my pocket, so I'm going to ink all 4 edges. Just get some more ink onto my tool. Oh, it's upside down with it. Yeah, there were just so many images on this one. It was like, I'm not cutting or flipping over, I'm going to get them all in. Just the sides and the top. And with this one, all 4. Right. And it's just time to glue. So when I'm gluing stacked pockets, I always start with the when I've inked all 4 edges with, and then I can sort of move this to line up with it, and it will still look nice. Whereas if I was a bit off with the top one, by the time I get to the bottom, it's going to look very odd because I've got the blackboard all the way around it. Because here I've just got to tuck it in and just line it up, leaving a small black bit there. And this one as well. So we'll do the same now on this side. It was a hard shot, so I did like this red as well. and then a large one. And there we go. So there we have our our covers done. We have our 4 pages done, so we can start assembling these now. So I'm just going to take off the tape and attach some glue. I'm going to put some glue on the back as well, otherwise your page is only attached on one side, which is not good. And you're just going to maneuver it on, and you're going to stop just before you get to your score line. You don't want to cover your 1/2 inch score line, otherwise you're not going to get that flexy hinge, because if you've covered it, it's just going to stay straight. So again, we're going to take off the tape, cover it with glue. So that glue has 2 jobs really. It gives you a more permanent hold at the end, holding your pages in, but also it gives you a bit more wiggle time because it slides over the tape. Oh, that's not the one. That was very close. It's this one. So again, I'm opening my pocket, getting it on. There we go. So that's page 2, so it's laying nice and flat there. So this is number 3. Putting that on. And the last one then. Is number 1. Oh, I went it this way. Another mistake, close. There we go. And a dip. So it looks a bit off now, but once you close your album, what you get is that depth going in there. So hopefully that now is an album, a tunnel album. So if you like the effect of the tunnel album, but you wanted one where you could put photos, hopefully now this is the answer, because we've got spaces to put photos in there and there. And now I'm going to show you more spaces for photos, because at the beginning we did cut some photo mats. So let's have a look here. So my photo mats are going to hold 5x7 photos. So I've got my, what was it? Let's bring back my cutting guide. So it's 7 inches wide, 7.5 tall, which means I can cut a piece of cardstock, which is 5.25 by 7.25. Now this means it's 1/4 inch bigger than your 5x7 photos. So this is a lovely little photo mat. So you're going to have that little white border. And then I've taken some 3/4 inch by 7.25 inch tall strips of my pattern paper. So this came from the 3rd paper from this pattern. So that would be how I would stick it together usually, but because we're sliding them in and out, if you do have a corner rounder, this will help with getting your photo mats in and out. So for my photo mats, I've only covered the front so far. So I do need to go back and do the back, but the back is going to be exactly the same. Okay, right, so these papers are directional because you've got those images. So I've gone from using my large one on my mat itself to the medium one. So if you've got a large corner rounder and a medium, that's what you're going to be using here. There we go. Couldn't get it into the right space. There we go. So on the right hand side of this one, because it's directional, I want to do it on the left hand side of this one. So let's just get rid of those bits. And again, let's just ink them up. So you could keep these then just plain as they are, or if you want to take it to a whole new level, I think you could attach some of the ephemera pieces. I'm going to show you something different now. We can put the cutting guide to the side. Let's just place some in place ready for sticking. There we are. Yes, we're going to have a tiny little black line in between this one time, I think. And there we go. And I'm going to do the same with the other strip. So I'm leaving the white bit till last because I can maneuver that then into the middle and even them out if it's a bit off. So let's just line that up again and line that up. And then you can stick our photo mat in. So now that's a space now for 5x7 photo. So you could add some ephemera pieces. And just glue down like an L shape so you can still, down the left hand side so you can slide, I can't even speak now, so you can slide your photo in and in. But the problem is you may end up catching because with this one, as you're pulling it out, it could catch here. So my tip is don't use the ephemera, but use the rub-ons instead. So as this is a featured collection project, I am using a bit of everything today. I say that if I can open the packet. So this now is going to go, I think this is my third one. I've done 1, 2 and 4. Don't know why I left 3 out. So I'm going to put it in. So it's going to be there. So I'm looking for something that's going to fit nicely into that aperture. So we could have some flowers, but I think we've got enough flowers as it is. So maybe just a bit of curiosa and curiosa. We don't want that frame. What have we got? Should we just have some butterflies this time, I think? Yeah, let's just keep it nice and simple and just add, because we are going to be adding ephemera and things in a bit. That gold, we don't want 2 gold butterflies going next to each other there. So I'll tuck it in. Sorry, I was off camera there. And press that. And there'll be just enough sticky on that for me to pull it out in a second. So let's just have another butterfly. I'm going to put that butterfly here. There we go. Just a little hint on this page. So it looks quite strange here now, but when it's in the album, it sort of makes a bit more sense. So I'm just going to rub them down. So I'm quite new to these ribbons, but I gotta say I do like them, especially on the photo mats, because they add some extra dimension, but no extra depth. There we go. Oh, lost a bit of its wing. Not the end of the world. Let's put it back in place and rub it down. Because I'm being a bit more gentle than usual because I don't want to be moving my camera. There we go. Are we okay this time? Yes. So there we have some photo mats. But as you can see, I've already done some of the others. So I did 1, 2, 3, and number 4. So you see number 4, I put some text. Now hopefully I measured it correct into the middle. Yes, it does. So I just put my rub on there. So this is the one we've just done. So we've got a couple of butterflies. This is number 2. And then this is number 1. She's in there. So now we have added a bit more. I think that could be quite nice actually. I may even add that every adventure requires a first. So I'm going to go for it. So I'm going to cut out the text because it says it starts. And so let's put this at the start. I'll take one of those gold butterflies because they're tying the gold there. What if I can do it without taking it out? This is going to be risky, isn't it? I think I'm going to. Let's just be safe, is it? And with the text, you really want to be careful. So I'm making sure I've got every little bit and I'm moving it from the top whilst I'm holding the bottom. So I know you can see I've got a bit more of the A to put down. And then I'm going to do it from the bottom up, see how that's done. That seems good. Every time. So it looks quite strange there, but once it's in here, it works. There you go. And now I'm going to start using my ephemera pieces. And let's have a look at what we've got. Because we're going to start now coming in and adding elements. So which way should we go? Let's go that way. So I need to put glue now on it like a reverse L. So when I turn it round on an L shape. So if I put it here, I can see, I can use sort of that as an idea of how far up I can bring my glue. There we go. So there's number 1. So I'm going to take this out now. So I haven't put too much on number 1 because it's got quite a thin border. I think we need maybe Alice sticking out. How high can we bring her? That's quite nice. So again, a reverse L because she's on the right hand side. So we've got that. Do we need something up here? Well, I don't quite use him quite yet. Maybe some flowers. What else do we have? Oh, we could go for this gold butterfly because it's bringing in the gold there. So it's just there and there, and a couple on the top. So let's bring my album back up. I'm going to put in there. Do we go for that, or does it look a bit strange? We'll have a look at the end, I think. I mean, she would have been good there, but because we've got her there, I probably wouldn't. Or could we? Because she is already showing there. Do we really want another one? It does look good. Let's go for it. Because it is first page, let's have a wow factor. So again, a reverse L shape this time. And then that's all you can do is just keep looking where you want your depth to come. So we've got there and there. Maybe we need something up top right this time. Maybe that's the time for that floral one. Here we are. Which way up, I suppose it is. Let's have them that way then. There we go. That's actually nice because it ties it and sort of brings, it looks like I've cut it from the paper, which I haven't. Maybe we could have another butterfly bottom left. So let's have like, I could put a little bit on there and a bit on there. We'll have two butterflies there then, working together. And then pull this out. And what you've got is it all working its way into there. So I'm not going to cover that too much. So let's just have maybe this clock, stopwatch. And yeah, you're not going to see her feet, but it'll just add a bit of interest to this page. Here she is falling down. And of course, you know, you can use any of these then to decorate here, or you can make some photo mats, because I've still got all these pages left. So one of these will go on doing the backs of my photo mats. As I said, one of these could go then to do your 3D on the front cover. And I've got 3 pages of the journal cards still untouched. So I'm going to have a little think now. Maybe on else. Oh, actually, have I got? Yes, there is. Let me just put the album to the side just to dry for a second. Let me move the ephemera pieces out of the way. And I have done a quick tutorial of such, showing how to cut into these pages. Now this one is the one I used, but I think it was a 12 by 12. So I'm going to cut wherever I can see a full line from top to bottom. So that border goes all the way across. If we look at this one, this is the one I'm thinking of. I've got this gold bit, which I don't want. So, but it does go from top to bottom. So I can trim off this gold piece, allowing me then to cut that full length here. And my papers were 7.5, weren't they? So I'm going to cut this at 7.5, ink the edge. bring back my album to this page. I'm going to do the same probably on that page. I'm now going to do a U shape. So across the bottom of my border and up the top, up each side. I'm going to place that just one little, I'm not even going to measure it, just a little bit off the bottom. Because once that's dry, that can now be, don't do what I'm doing, don't cut on top of an album. You're not going to get your best cuts doing this, but I'm just trying to get it to show you some extra elements. Here we go. So then the journal cards can just tuck inside there as well. So I'm going to do one here as well, and maybe I can find something as well to go on the back. Will I have any long enough apart from these ones? Probably, oh, and that could go quite nice on there. You know, you've got all these border strips then, you can decorate to your heart's content. But that is my Curiouser and Curiouser featured collection project. So it's a tunnel album, but a tunnel album where you've actually got photo spaces for your photos, and the tunnel isn't shown off from the beginning, but it sort of just works its way as you work through. And of course, I've still got all those ephemera pieces. I can keep going, I can add more butterflies and more of the flowers where I want them, so I could tuck that flower behind her. There is so much, you know, the Mad Hatter, I haven't even used him. Probably could have used him there. Yes, he would have been a nice one there too. But we've stuck with the Alice theme with her. Ooh, maybe I need an Alice here. She's on every page except that one. Is there another one? Oh, look at his top hat. How did I miss that one? That would have been a nice one. I think I'll have to have a look, see if there is another Alice. Yes, there is. So she could tuck there. And I could even make this into a tuck spot in itself, because by doing that L, my photo mat, once that's dry, of journal card can fit in there. So it's probably a good way of using one of these small journal cards. So I could tuck that in there. I could have glued top and bottom and turned her into a belly band actually. I probably should have thought this through a bit further, but I didn't realise I'd have an Alice on every page except one. So let's get that page in and my final page. So just at the start, you just do need to just sort of help it in to the space there. What you can use is tumble dryer sheets and sort of just go around the edges, and that helps things slide in and out as well. So thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this one. I mean, I really have enjoyed. Oh, I still got to do a strip there, but I have put a bit on the back. But I do have, as I said, plenty of papers just to cut a bit onto the side there. So I really, really enjoyed designing this one. I did like the tunnel album, but I know a lot of people were afraid of them because they didn't know where to put the photos. So hopefully this now is a little compromise version where you've got your photo mats, you've got photo storage in there, but you still get that tunnel book effect as you work your way down through pages. So thank you for watching. As I said, I hope you enjoyed as well. If you did, I'd really appreciate if you left me a comment so I can read and hear what you thought of this project, because I gotta say it's probably one of my favourite ones that I've done. Please give it a thumbs up, and if you did want that cutting guide, remember to join Paper Crafting with Paul, which is on Facebook. So just put it in the search and it should come up. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you again.